dear child, do you yearn for true power? Come to me then.
The will of the Honkai, also known as the Honkai God, or just God, is an entity acting as supreme being, the creator and leader of all the Honkai forces in every universe. Its ultimate will or goal is to wipe out all of humanity. The previous era never suspected the will of Honkai to be sentient. With the recent update, we get some sussy lore about the will of Honkai in the previous era AI known as Prometheus. It's speculated that when humanity was wiped out in the previous era, the AI Prometheus was able to hack into this will of Honkai in a final attempt to protect the current era. It ended up merging with it and became the sentient will of Honkai we see in the current era. Prometheus did this to prevent the will of Honkai from creating new, unknown Herrschers. So, by merging with it, the will of Honkai is only able to rebirth the same 14 Herrschers from the previous era. This way, the current era had a fighting chance using the knowledge of the Herrschers from the previous era. The will of Honkai views humanity as a plague or sickness that needs to be eliminated for the world to prosper. It achieves this by infiltrating the minds of weak individuals exposed to Honkai radiation. We see this in the Honkai manga where Eleanor Shirayek used the Gem of Corruption to become a pseudo-Herrscher and attack Colin Castellana. The Gem of Corruption spoke to her, and Eleanor thought she was hearing the voice of God, and, well, she was. Just not a benevolent one like she believed. We find out that this voice is actually the will of Honkai, or the Honkai God. After Otto and Colin subdue Eleanor, the will of the Honkai attached itself to Colin in the final moments in an attempt to corrupt her. While knocked out, the will of the Honkai infiltrates her mind, offering her its powers in return for use of her body. She declines after realizing this was the voice Eleanor was hearing. The Honkai God played a key role in the second eruption of the current era. It contacted the Herrscher of the Void and Siren, ordering them to come to the moon and receive powers to destroy the world. Siren was given power from the Herrschers of Conquest, Silence, Desire, and Pestilence. This is what started the Second Honkai War. Later, Otto uses Fuhua to attack Siren, so he's able to enter her mind with the goal of contacting the will of Honkai. He manages to traumatize Siren enough into despair, so she creates a wormhole where Otto begs the Honkai God to revive his lost love, Colin Castellana. Since this is the Honkai God we're talking about, it responded by basically telling Otto to go KYS. The Honkai God took Otto's form and proceeded to commit slip and slide, which horrified Otto enough to nope on out of Siren's consciousness. Much later, Fuhua fights Siren again and was able to enter Siren's mind in an attempt to strike her down for good. This is when Fuhua sees the Honkai God sitting in her throne within Siren's mind. Fuhua uses her Taishu sword and almost strikes the Honkai God, when it smiled and completely denies the attack, obliterating the sword out of existence. This was the last that was seen of the will of Honkai. However, at the end of chapter 28, after Mei and Kiana defeat Otto, the will of Honkai makes contact with Mei, but nothing is said except, "Who are you?" and infects Mei with the Herrscher of Corruption, which she unknowingly brings into the Elysian realm with her. What is a Herrscher? Herrschers are the primary form of Honkai manifestation. They are considered the children or disciples of the Honkai God. They are strong individuals with a high adaptability to Honkai radiation. Where do they come from? Well, when a mommy Herrscher and a daddy Herrscher love each other very much... No, just kidding. A Herrscher is born with every generation of human. When a high level of Honkai radiation concentrates in one area, someone may be able to absorb enough of that energy to become a Herrscher. Only humans with a high adaptability to Honkai radiation can become Herrschers. Otherwise, they become mindless Honkai zombies or beasts. The will of the Honkai preys on people's negative emotions, corrupting them to destroy humanity. Not all Herrschers are bad, though. In some rare cases, they can overcome the corruption of the will of Honkai and become allies to use the Herrscher powers to fight against the Honkai. Herrschers are powered by a Herrscher core or gem, and if a core is not neutralized when the body dies, the Herrscher can be reborn in a new body implanted with the core. How does one become a Herrscher? Now, this is information I've pieced together from the manga and wiki, so let's call this speculation for now. Step 1. The will of the Honkai plants a metaphoric seed of doubt in the mind, or the Herrscher conscience. This will invoke negative emotions, and over time, build up a hatred towards humanity. Step 2. The physical body will begin to change, and this can show itself as sickness or becoming weak. The Honkai radiation will start to attract Honkai beasts and zombies coming to protect the new-coming Herrscher. Step 3. The Herrscher's consciousness becomes more powerful and starts to take over the mind in an attempt to completely eradicate the original human consciousness. When fully controlled, the Herrscher will begin to absorb huge amounts of Honkai energy, summoning more Honkai beasts to spread radiation for the Herrscher to absorb. With more Honkai energy absorbed, the stronger the abilities they will have. Step 4. They completely abandon all empathy for humanity, solidifying their hatred and corruption, thus becoming a true Herrscher. Each Herrscher is very unique, with their own reasons for hatred towards humanity and their different abilities. Since every Herrscher is so vastly different, the previous era was able to create an AI that predicted the comings of Herrschers and the ways to defeat them. At the very end of the previous era, right before the world was destroyed, this AI, called Prometheus, was able to hack into and merge with the will of Honkai, so that the current era Herrschers would be reborn of the ones of the previous era, instead of birthing new Herrschers with unknown abilities. Since the previous era recorded the abilities and weaknesses of the previous Herrschers, the current era would be able to learn about them and prepare. Divine keys are weapons or tools created by the previous era. They're created using Herrscher cores and hold their respective powers. Vilv is the creator of most of these divine keys by using a nanotechnology called Solium. There's a total of 13 known keys, but each key has multiple forms. They're also numbered in the order of the Herrschers of the previous era. The first key is the Void Archives, made from the Herrscher of Reason. It's an AI and contains a huge database of information dating back to the previous era. It's also able to mimic abilities of other known divine keys and allow the user to transfer their mind or consciousness to another body. The second divine key is the Cosmic Juggernaut, and my personal favorite. This key takes the form of a big old train. It was made from the Herrscher of the Void and has the ability to observe or travel to other bubble worlds on the Imaginary Tree and Sea of Quanta. I do have a theory video on this, on how this key connects all the Hoyo games, that you should watch after this one. The third divine key is the Key of Sanction, or Seven Thunders of Retribution, and made from the Herrscher of Thunder. It takes different forms of typical weapons depending on the user. For Raven, it took the form of a sniper rifle, but it seems to have a personality that the wielder needs to keep happy in order to avoid it changing to a less useful weapon like a slingshot. The fourth divine key was made in inspiration of the second divine key. This was a satellite made from the Herrscher of the Wind. Its purpose was to purify the earth of the Honkai radiation after the final Herrscher, the Herrscher of the End, destroyed the civilization of the previous era. It was made for one of the final attempts to preserve the earth for the current era. It also has the ability to control the weather. The fifth divine key was made from the Herrscher of Ice. Unfortunately, has yet to show up, so we have little to no knowledge of what it does. The sixth divine key is the Abyss Flower, and made from the Herrscher of Death. It's a black and white lance that can split into two, and has powers related to life and death. When split apart, the white lance gains the powers of life, healing people and growing plant life, while the black lance gains the powers of death, with the ability to turn everything it touches to dust. And every user that has wielded it has died. The seventh divine key is the Judgment of Shumash, and made from the Herrscher of Flames. Its form is two pistols with the ability to merge into a greatsword. Each pistol contains only a half of the core of flames, because when put together in sword form, it is so powerful that it kills any wielder that isn't a Caslana with mantis genes. The eighth divine key is Fun Huang Down, made from the Herrscher of Sentience. This has the ability to change the perception of reality and takes the form of feathers. It's basically a super strong genjutsu and is like Fu Hua's Deus Ex Machina. The ninth divine key is the Star of Eden, made from the Herrscher of Earth. It's basically a powerful orb that controls gravity and can create black holes. The 10th divine key, or keys, are the Xuanyan swords and are made from the 1,000 cores of the Herrscher of Domination, which means, yes, there are 1,000 swords. However, most of them have broke. The 11th divine key is the Oath of Judah and made from the Herrscher of Binding. Kinky. The Oath of Judah is a giant cross containing spears and chains. Using the power of the Herrscher of Binding, it's able to drain enemies of Honkai energy. And not just Honkai energy, but all energy, making the captured enemy unable to use any powers. The 12th divine key is the Jizo Mitama, made from the Herrscher of Corruption. Theories point to this key not being canon and doesn't seem to have any special abilities other than just being a cool-looking sword. It was made when Higokumaru calmed down and felt love for the first time in 50,000 years. The 13th divine key has also been left out in the canon lore, so we don't know what it is or who it's made from. The 14th divine key doesn't exist, since the Herrscher of the End from the previous era was not defeated, therefore a key could not be created from its core. The key of blankness or emptiness was not made from a Herrscher core, but rather made 4 Herrscher cores. It can hold any Herrscher core and allows normal humans to wield it and use Herrscher powers at the cost of damage to their own body. The last divine key is the best divine key, and that is the subscribe button. Please click it to help save humanity from the Honkai. Let me know in the comments what other lore you'd like me to deep dive into. As a small creator, you can really help me out by just liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Once again, I am Mufi, and thank you so much for watching.